NyynewsTV. This is New York, Yankee sports talk. Swinging for the fences, knock it out the park. This is New York, Yankee sports talk. Christian and Chris, of course SGR. This is New York, Yankee sports talk. Homie, New York, Yankee sports talk. Record, rain or shine, grab your shades and umbrellas. NyynewsTV, you're hanging with the fellas.
Welcome back. This is episode 322 of the NyynewST podcast. We're live on NyynewsTV. I'm your host, Christian. As always, joined by my co-host, Chris.
You?
And SGR.
What up?
What up, fellas?
How are you,
Not
pal?
much. Watching the game right now.
What's Dominguez doing?
Pirates are in mid-season form. They just made a pretty basic routine ground ball turn into an error and scored 2 more runs. So it was a ground ball to G-Man Choi. Threw it home, botched it.
That's your boy, G-Man Choi.
G-Man Choi is my boy.
I had the game on a little bit earlier, and Andujar's back with the Pirates. They designated him. I guess he came back.
Oh, nice.
He was in right field for Pittsburgh tonight.
Do you think he feels like shit that even the Pirates can't trade him for anything? Like he just keeps getting designated for assignment?
Well,
Motherfucker.
sure. Feel like shit, but at the end of the day, you got to compare yourself to Nestor Cortez. That was a guy who was in the same boat.
Cortez.
He was DFA'd by the Orioles when they were at their
true,
lowest. Then it's like,
Glass
you
half
gotta,
full.
yeah, you got to take it as keep believing in yourself until that time comes.
That's it.
That's the Cortez.
A little bit of positivity today to start the show.
Okay. Power of positive thinking. Okay.
All right. Well, the Yankees are they're playing right now. It's Monday night here. Actually, up 9-0 over the Pirates. Domingo Germán started this game. He's competing for the fifth starter spot. He threw 3 innings of 1-hit ball, so he's pitching well so far this season. I guess we should start the show tonight, since we're talking about some spring training baseball, is regular season baseball, and that's April 1st, the Audi Club at Yankee Stadium. Tickets are still available. You know, we're trying to get rid of these last handful of tickets, man. We want to see you out there at the Audi Club on April 1st for Yankees versus Giants. Aaron Boone, I believe it was yesterday, came out and said, don't write this in stone, but it's going to be Cole, Rodon, and then Severino to start that opening series. So April 1st, that will be Carlos Rodon's official debut for the New York Yankees, and you can come watch that and hang out with us in the Audi Club for NyynewsTV Day 2023. So definitely check that out. The link is pinned to our profile on Twitter at NyynewST_podcast.
Okay.
And that's the game. That's the game to be at in that first series too, with the drama with Rodon pitching.
Rodon against
that's an awesome team to open up against.
You love opening up against the Giants with all the Judge drama.
Right. Yeah.
Judge went deep tonight, took a pitch the other way.
I'm sure they'll bench Judge by the second game. Give him a rest.
Judge should be in left field either Wednesday or Thursday, according to Aaron Boone.
That's great.
They're definitely going to go with that experiment. But yeah, we do want to talk about some spring training, and bringing up Carlos Rodon kind of ties this all together here as we start the show. A lot of people are talking about this recently on Twitter, and it's spring training doesn't mean nothing unless it's to fit your narrative. And that, to me, is not entirely true. I think, and we can have a discussion about this. I believe that because people, they got a little worked up yesterday. Carlos Rodon didn't look good, gave up a bunch of runs. Sevy hasn't, I think he's given up 7 runs in his first 2 starts. As long as those guys are healthy, I don't care what their lines look like. The same thing with Garrett Cole. As long as Garrett Cole's healthy, I don't care what his lines look like. Aaron Judge could go 0 for 30 in spring training. As long as he's healthy, I don't care. For veterans, for guys that are going to be big parts of this team, spring training, the numbers don't matter, okay? That's just my opinion. It's about getting the work in, staying healthy, and being ready for March 30th. Where spring training does matter, and because the Yankees have a few kids that are knocking at the door of potentially making this team, that's where the numbers matter. You want to talk about Jason Dominguez being a real legitimate option for this team, even though he can't track a fly ball to save his life. Kid's batting 417 in spring training. That's something you look at. That's something you take notice of and say, hey, this kid is letting it be known that he is here. He wants to be on this team. Volpe, who's in the lineup tonight, let me take a look at what he's batting so far this spring. If it'll come up here.
While you do that, let me say, Big Sexy Yankee, thanks for the super chat. You're always right on it. Cashman is hard because Hicks went 2 for 2 tonight. He sure is.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know if this includes tonight or coming into tonight, but Volpe's batting 353 with a 1.097 OPS in spring. Again, 17 at bats, but this is Volpe and Dominguez are guys that you look at and say,
Sure.
hey, these guys are trying to make the team. So if they don't perform well, you're not even thinking about them making the team. And the same thing with guys like Willie Calhoun and Rafael Ortega that might be options to play left field. If these guys don't put up numbers in spring training, they're not coming north. So yes, you want to say that spring training doesn't mean anything unless you're trying to fit your narrative, but it does for certain guys. It does. Aaron Hicks, you want to feel decent about him, at least feel a little bit decent about him coming into the season. He's got to have a good spring, right?
Sure.
I mean, a guy like him and Wash Donaldson, if these guys don't have good springs, that whole comeback season thing that we talked about or other people have talked about, you have no hope of it.
Here's the thing, though.
If he's hitting 140 in the spring.
I agree with you on Hicks for that because Hicks has a lot of people that could be knocking at the door to take his job. I don't so much for Donaldson because for 2 reasons. One, it's his job to lose at this point throughout the season. We know that, and he's not going to lose it. And the second thing is he's a proven player. Hicks has never really been a proven player at that kind of level, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you're right, Christian. It is definitely split 50-50. You have your guys who show up because this is their time to figure shit out. They don't have to worry about how well they do. They have to worry about getting ready for the season. And then the other half are the guys who they're auditioning. The problem I have is I don't know. I'm not confident in the Yankees front office to say that they're auditioning in front of anyone. I would hope that if Volpe and Dominguez continue down this path, that they are seriously considered to start up with the major league club this year. At least Dominguez, because Volpe, if you want to fight me and if the Yankees want to fight and say he's not ready and we have time, that's one thing because their infield is already overpacked. But we're talking about Dominguez versus Hicks at this point. And if Dominguez, one of your most touted guys that you've gotten in the last couple of years, is playing this well, you have to seriously consider it.
And I think another guy making a name for himself right now is Willie Calhoun. He's got 8 hits and 14 at bats so far in the spring, hitting 571, on base 625, OPS 1.48.
The Yankees, that's what the Yankees will do though. They'll go with Calhoun over Dominguez because Calhoun isn't as valuable to them, right? And that's what they do. But Volpe, correct me if I'm wrong, he had a few tough games to start spring training, right? So for him to be batting that high, he must have caught fire, no?
Well, you know what? The thing with Dominguez is that right now, if you didn't have John Carlos staying on this team, I would think that Dominguez had a greater probability of making the team because I think the bat is there. His real knock right now is he's not a good outfielder. And you can't hide a bad outfielder in left field at Yankee Stadium.
Let me ask you a question. Because I haven't seen him play. I haven't watched any games spring training. At this point in time, seeing him in the outfield, who's more of a liability to be in this lineup every day, Hicks or Dominguez?
In the lineup or in the outfield? There's two different things.
Well, no.
Right.
I mean both.
Yeah, that is
overall though.
No, but
you're
I mean
saying like
both
who's
because
worth...
they're gonna whoever it is, whether Hicks or Dominguez, they will be playing left field.
Right. So who's
Dominguez's bat
outweigh him in the outfield?
I think so.
Is he that bad?
I mean, I don't think I haven't seen enough of him to say whether or not he's good or bad. The stuff I've seen from him in the spring isn't the greatest, but it's not something that like is.
Remember when I always said
tell me that he's terrible.
Remember when I always told you that Aaron Hicks can't?
Yep.
Yeah.
Aaron Hicks can't run routes to save his life.
Right.
Well, that's the knock on Dominguez.
Yeah, I
I
actually
was gonna
noticed
say-
those similarities of the two of them.
You're good. You're pretty good at detecting when a fielder is subpar. And so but for me, like at this
And I mean, the
point,
one
man,
thing I saw of Dominguez this year, so far in spring training, is that he overran a ball and let it get to the wall. I mean, that's something that you don't like to see. You want to see these guys focused and on top of their game in spring training. So, yeah, if Stanton wasn't here and you didn't really have like a lockdown DH, which the Yankees will play this game that he'll play right field and blah, blah, blah. But I think we all realize that Stan's going to be the D. If Stan play, let's knock on wood here. Stan plays 140 games this year. How many games of those are at DH?
Out of the 140, geez,
130,
125, yeah, 120.
So what? I mean, why even have a conversation about him being in the outfield then?
Yeah, it's sad too, because I actually think that he's a better player when he's in the field, and I think he's more than capable of getting it done. But I mean, for me to compare Dominguez and Hicks, I know you're saying he's might be a liability in left field, but it's beyond that at this point. For me, at this point, Hicks shouldn't even. I know physically he's here and still on this roster, but it shouldn't even be that he exists at this point.
Right, and I agree with you. But that's why a guy like Willie Calhoun, if he's going to have a hot spring and maybe you can ride him for 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh yeah,
he'll be the guy.
He'll be the guy, and then when he becomes Willie Calhoun again, and maybe you go to Jason Dominguez and hope that he gets a little bit of extra seasoning. Where somebody brought this up to me the other day and was like, "Oh well, if Dominguez didn't lose a year to COVID, all these prospects lost a year to COVID. Michael Harris lost, right? That's the guy that won Rookie of the Year for right.
What about Jeremy Pena? Did Pena lose a year?
But Harris lost a year to COVID. He went from Double-A to the majors and won Rookie of the Year. So it's not, to me, that's not really an excuse. And I know that Dominguez is a little bit more raw because it was an international signing, but still, all these guys lost a year to COVID. So
it's not a valid.
You're all on the same playing field here.
Mm-hmm. Big Sexy Yankee, thanks for another super chat. This is a good point, though.
Family, Big Sexy Yankee, because I feel like the money could be better spent.
Seriously, dude. Seriously, there's a lot of porn that you can be paying for. He said Julio Rodriguez last year batted like Volpe and Dominguez are doing right now. Was called to the office to be told he just made it. Why can't we do that? Yeah, that
was an awesome video too to start the year when they sent him in the office. Kind of went viral for the Mariners.
Someone said to me, I tweeted something about Dominguez and that how he should be called up, but the Yankees won't do it. And someone replied and said, he's not ready yet. Blah blah blah. Look, dude, if you're analyzing that in a vacuum, fine. You want to tell me he's not ready? Fine. But you can't. You have to put this into context a little bit. You got to figure out what your options are. And sometimes, in a lot of cases, if a guy has it in him to be a superstar or at least be an above average, serviceable MLB player, sometimes you got to just throw him in the fire and see what he's made of. And I feel like if Dominguez is going to keep riding this hot streak and our other option is Aaron Hicks, what better time to just see what he's got?
I don't think the Yankees have a reason not to play Dominguez, really, because it's Aaron Hicks and it's Willie Calhoun. I think they do have I can't believe I'm saying this. I do think they have a reason not to play Anthony Volpe.
Yeah, that's fine. I said that. I'm
right.
Look, do I think
because as much as I don't like Gleyber Torres, not that I don't like Gleyber, as much as I don't want him here and I want IKF here and I don't like Wash Donaldson, I think the Yankees are better suited to cover the infield without Anthony Volpe than they are to cover the outfield without Jason Dominguez right now.
But here's the thing, though, and I agree with you. I'm not asking for the world here from the Yankees, but at the end of the day, if Volpe continues to have a hot spring, it's that case in itself, a healthy organization probably calls him up. I mean, this is their superstar. What better time? Here's my thing. What better time than right now while Aaron Judge is still in his prime while Garrett Cole still has a few years left to be an ace on this team, while you just signed Rodon, what better time to call up these kids, especially your top prospect, to try and make it happen?
What better time than before the season even starts, before you even have a record to give you an excuse or a reason,
right? Just
validate it or invalidate
come up.
it.
And the problem is they won't look. Josh Donaldson defensively is phenomenal, and I get it. Sometimes you sacrifice offense for defense and hope his bat comes alive. But at the end of the day, man, if your superstar if the infield is overcrowded and your superstar number one prospect is showing you that it seems like he's ready, and you can either move him or Peraza to third, why are you not doing it for Josh Donaldson for 37? What is he, 37?
Yeah.
For 37-year-old Josh Donaldson, why?
Well, you know why.
I know why.
Oh yeah, it's to people that tell you that spring training doesn't matter. It's not a black and white scenario. It isn't, because like we just outlined here, Volpe, Peraza, even these guys that were major leaguers on minor league invites, spring training is important to them. They need to have big springs to let the club know that they're ready or they're able to take a spot. You know, like we said, dude, if Garrett Cole goes out there and gets shelled, you know, he gives up 10 runs in his three, you know, in 3 innings, are you going to worry about him? You know, no, because guys like him, this is what spring training is for, is to get strong and to get ready for the season. You know, that's Carlos Rodon got lit up yesterday. It means nothing. I still think he's going to be an alpha dog, the 1A to Garrett Cole. Didn't change my opinion one bit. Yes.
If you're Carlos Rodon showing up in pinstripes to spring training, it doesn't even matter what happens to that ball. You're on the mound and you're worrying about the feel of your off speed, your fastball, your timing, your rhythm, your mechanics. You don't give a fuck what's going on. Maybe in it, if he has,
I think he wanted to smack Oswaldo Cabrera yesterday for making the error in front of the home run he gave up to Matt Olson.
Well, he's definitely a guy who, even in spring training with shit like that, he's probably going to get pissed.
No, I mean, you know, he said yesterday, I just saw a little blurb about him. He said he was disappointed in his outing, and yeah, he is. I'm sure he didn't want to go and get lit up, but anybody that thinks that him getting lit up yesterday means anything, it couldn't be further from the truth. If he was a young prospect that the Yankees were thinking about, you know, like Domingo Germán and Clark Schmidt are battling for the 5th spot, you better believe every time either one of those guys take the mound, it matters. Their results matter, because the Yankees are looking for one of those 2 guys to fill a spot.
But of course he's still going to say he was disappointed in his outing. He's a competitor and he's never going to give up that persona. But at the end of the day, if he's disappointed in his outing, it's more because he couldn't get a feel for what he was looking for than it was the actual result. He doesn't give a fuck about the result.
The Yankees are already playing games. No, I don't even want to call it games, but they're already trying to push the wheel down a little bit with Nestor Cortez, because he's going to be in the 5th spot to open the first time through the rotation.
You're talking about with the injury?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Just so they can maybe skip him once. You think?
I thought it was to bookend him and Cole.
And I don't know why you would do that this early. I think they just did it because they wanted to give him a little extra time and a little bit of a breather in April here. You know, the Yankees are dealing with a couple injuries right now. Peraza's dealing with a foot issue, but Boone said that he should be back in the lineup on Thursday. Tommy Red Bull is a little bit more serious with bicep tendonitis. Could be a month before we see Tommy Red Bull.
That's 3 months minimum.
So, we all love Tommy Red Bull. We were all happy that he came back, but it's not surprising that another Cashman signing of a pitcher has come down with an injury here, because his stink is all over everything.
Well, does Canely have an injury history, or
in 2018
was he a liability to?
Oh, right. He did have Tommy John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, another fucking super chat from Big Sexy Yan. I'm just gonna call
Big
you
sexy,
BSY.
dude.
He said
Ooh.
Yankees treat their prospects like when someone buys a real expensive wine, they don't want to use it no matter how good the occasion is. Remember Florial.
Right.
Florial.
Yeah, that was another name I wanted to bring up was Florial. He's a guy that was going into the spring training where it really counted for him. A guy like
but
Willie
I don't.
Calhoun. He's
But
3
don't
for
you think-
14 this spring. So
But don't
it's
you
not
think
looking
Florial
great.
is so defeated at this point? I mean, the Yankees rode that injury that he had and then completely just let him rot.
Yeah, but you talk about if spring, is important or not. If he came out
It
and
is
was
important
having
to
a
him, but I'm gonna tell
Willie
you-
Calhoun type of spring, then
Yeah.
maybe the narrative is a little different right now. I don't
gonna tell
think
you-
it changes much though.
He's going down the same path as Miguel Andujar and Clint
Mhm.
Frazier and all these
Yep.
other guys because he's out of options and he's not making this team.
Mm-mm.
No.
So
His time is past. At this point, Cashman wouldn't even consider him because if he comes up and if he is a superstar, then Cashman just looks like an asshole for not giving him a chance earlier.
I mean, yeah, the book on Estevan Florial is closed, in my opinion. I think
Yeah, for
the
sure.
Yankees have definitely decided on that, and it's just going to be another sad tale of these guys that didn't get traded, didn't get a realistic shot, and they're out the door for nothing. This is why when we say you got to trade these guys, it's not because we're just looking to trade guys, because the Yankees track record says trade these guys, or because they're not playing them and they're not getting any type of value for them. So what's the point?
That does bring up a good point. It's like the Yankees' biggest flaw, at least in the last handful of years, seems to be, all right, we all know they inflate or over exaggerate the talent that they have in their system, right? We all know they do that with certain guys, and they know it's smoke just to build their value, right? It's almost like they fucking brainwash themselves and they forget who is actually really good and who are the guys who could slip through the cracks and that they should trade while their value is high. Florial's one of those guys. Andujar, I feel like, was just completely, after that injury, they just completely forgot about him. But Florial's definitely one of those guys.
I mean, we don't have to talk a lot about Miguel Andujar anymore, but you wonder if he didn't get hurt.
You
If he didn't
wonder.
get hurt, what would have happened?
Yeah.
Would his career have gone down this path, or would he been a guy that
Look at a
could have
lot
been
of what
little-
happened because of that too, Christian. Like with Gio Urshela, then they
yeah,
moved
Wash
Gio Urshela.
Donaldson
Now
is here.
Wash Donaldson is here because
Wash
Miguel
Donaldson
Andujar.
is here. Yeah, fuck Miguel
So
Andujar.
thank you, Miguel Andujar. This is
Yeah,
why.
dickhead.
But he also got us rid of Gary Sanchez, so did that too. So thank you.
No,
I would take Gary Sanchez and Gio back to not have Wash Donaldson.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. Fair
Speaking
point.
of Gary Sanchez, the Yankees are dealing with some other injuries in their catching depth. I believe Austin Wells has got a broken rib or something, and Josh Bro is dealing with an injury.
Wow.
Higgy's off. Higgy's going to be off to the WBC. So the Yankees are looking at bringing in some catching depth, and Gary Sanchez is going to be playing in the WBC. So I guess this takes him out of it. But Gary did make quite a stir a couple weeks ago when he was working out in Yankee gear. Is there a possibility? Do you really think that the Yankees would go down that route, even on a minor league deal, to bring back Gary Sanchez?
No, and I don't think Gary would even take a minor league deal. I think
Have a deal period right now, though.
yeah,
bro.
but I think he will have one by the end of spring training for sure.
Well, I mean, don't you think he's using the World Baseball Classic as sort of an open tryout
Sure.
for the league more than
How
any
much
player
has
in
Ga-
the tournament?
Think about it like this. Seriously, think about Gary Sanchez in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now imagine that I told you when he hit free agency at the end of 2022, no team would have offered him a major league deal.
I'd never believe you in a million years. I thought he was going to go down as the best or one of the best offensive catchers in the game. I really did.
I mean, I didn't watch him. Obviously, we didn't watch him every day last year. His numbers offensively were what they are now. So, I mean, that's pretty.
Maybe he was
still pretty
juicing, bro.
decent. pretty decent for a catcher. You know, a guy that's going to hit around 20 home runs as a catcher. I mean, are people that worried about his defense?
Yeah, if you're going to be,
Not even get to be. It's March 6th. The guy doesn't have a fucking contract.
Yeah,
bro.
but the problem, at least with him on the Yankees, is that he's a liability behind the plate. But not only that, he became a true liability in this lineup. Not because he couldn't get a hold of a few, but this team doesn't need more guys who can't make contact and who strike out in big spots.
You heard some of these guys have come through again, like Adam Warren and Greg Bird. Like, we don't just let that go.
Yes, just let it go.
Yeah, you have to.
Just let it go.
But a guy like where Gary runs into troubles that he's probably not. Well, it's looking like he's not going to get offered a starting job, and then it becomes you're a bench catcher. But if you're a catcher on the bench, you're not being used for your offense, right? Most catchers are defensive at that point,
for sure.
On the bench, it's either all or
your
nothing.
backup catcher is pretty much a defensive player.
Well, so, who's our backup catcher? Is he an offensive guy?
Right. I don't think so. At least I don't think.
Real quick, just a quick side note. We don't have to talk about it. I just want a quick answer because someone told me I was crazy. Am I wrong for assuming that on opening day, the reigning AL platinum, first ever platinum glove winning catcher is going to be on the bench?
He's starting.
Is he?
Yes.
You think he's starting over, or this was said already?
Be there on opening day. Why wouldn't he be?
Because who's pitching, bro?
It doesn't. No, I don't think that was.
They went back. Yeah, they went back to it by the end of the year.
Not a thing anymore.
It's a thing, dude.
No, if Trevino will be, if he's not, he's going to be in the lineup on opening day.
We'll see.
Let's see here. Yeah, he should be in the lineup.
Has to be in the lineup. I think it would be pretty stupid to.
Well, it would be stupid.
Kyle Higashioka, I mean, I know everybody loves him. Here's Kyle Higashioka. He is not a Major League Baseball player. Like, he's a 4A player. He's the definition of a 4A player, right? Okay. Then there will be 1 week in the season where, Brian, you guys played NBA Jam. Remember that?
Sure.
When you had the fireball and you couldn't miss.
Mm-hmm.
You were just draining threes from the other side of the fucking court. He gets the fireball, hits 5 home runs in a week, has an OPS of like 2,000, and everybody's like, the Hickey bombs. And then he just goes back to being like the quintessential 4A player. That's who he is. And and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I want to get in and out tonight, right? So because we spent a lot of time on the pitch clock last week, right? My bigger problem than the pitch clock, and again, this is not me saying I want the pitch clock. My bigger problem than the pitch clock right now is the bigger bases and the fact you can only throw over 2 times. Because I was watching
the worst.
I was watching the game yesterday, right? And Kyle Higashioka doesn't have a strong arm to begin with. He's not known for having a good arm, right? Unless I'm off base on saying that.
No, you're right.
Okay.
Quick pop time, but not a good arm.
Had no shot yesterday. Like none. No shot throwing these runners out.
Well, think of it like this, right? I was always under, like, I kept thinking, okay, pitcher can't throw over twice, right? Because
times,
if you after
throw
the
over
second time, the guy can just run. No,
you can throw over a third time. I just learned this today. You can throw over a third time, but you have to get the runner out on the third time. If not, he's awarded the next base.
Jesus Christ. I mean, so here's my thing, right? How many pitchers are going to be discouraged to even throw over once? Because after they throw over once, throwing over a second time is a huge liability, because then there's a 90% chance the pitcher's not throwing over again. And that's an even bigger jump. So after even the first time, there's a huge increase of the probability that the pitcher's not going to throw over a second time, which gives another advantage to the runner.
Yes, the pitch clock is bad. We don't like the pitch clock, but I'm telling you, I sat there and I watched pretty much the entire game on Saturday. I didn't really notice the pitch clock. There's going to be times it's going to come into play. fine. But I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem as these rules are, because this is really going to drastically change the game, where guys are going to be running like crazy, because you're not going to be you're putting the defense at such a disadvantage by not allowing the pitcher to keep the runner close, and he's 3 inches closer to the bag now.
Well, Christian, also you have to kind of, from what your gripe is right now, you can even include the pitch clock in this, because as a runner, it's all about timing. And if you're watching that clock and things are getting dicey and it's coming down to it,
if the pitcher steps off with a runner on, the pitch clock resets.
Understood. But what I'm saying is, it gets to a point where as a pitcher, you're like, shit, I got to get on this mound and I got to figure out what pitch I'm throwing, and I got to throw the pitch. And once it gets to a certain point as a runner, you're saying, okay, he's thinking about throwing this pitch. I probably have another advantage to get a good jump here. It's
okay.
A lot of pitchers, especially younger pitchers, are going to really be thinking about that pitch clock.
Don't forget though, Christian, pitchers can only step off the rubber twice per plate appearance.
Oh my God. This is
so we'll reset, but you only get 2 times of doing that.
This is crazy. How did the players agree to all this? How?
Yeah, they like it.
How?
It's like how bills get passed in Congress. We'll give you this, but you got to give us that. So it's
right. It's
like
all about the money. We'll play whatever game you want.
Like the Ukraine relief bill, but meanwhile, half of the money's going to the senators.
Yeah, it's going to the fucking post office.
It's basically it's like Ukraine. Okay.
Just to nip.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, sorry, keep going. No, you go ahead. You go ahead, because you're.
I'm not.
Your thought.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that the pitch clock also doesn't come into play with the base runners, but if you only had the pitch clock come into play with the base runners, I still think that the defense has a legitimate chance of getting the runner out. I really think you're going to see guys stealing at 85, 90% clips this year. It's going to be nearly impossible to throw somebody out.
Yeah, that's something I noticed too. These literally the first inning. I was watching the Mets' first spring training game, and Tim LaCastro took off. He could have walked to the bag. That's how fast he got there.
Yeah, I mean, you said it a couple of weeks ago, Christian, though. What's the reasoning behind it? To generate more offense. That's pretty much all this is. And the sad part is not all these bullshit rules that they're putting in place, but if you just think back to baseball like 10 years ago, it's a completely different game right now. Look, I'm all for change if it's going to make things better and smoother. I'm at least I'll be open to trying it out, but to do all of this so suddenly and so drastically, it's just over the top, man.
I mean, you can call me crazy, but if I had to choose between the pitch clock and allowing going back to the regular size bases and allowing the infinite number of throwovers like we used to have, I take the pitch clock.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I put a poll up, or I asked people to tell me their thoughts on it, and it seemed like a lot of older fans really don't mind the pitch clock because they kept saying, back in the 70s and 60s, games were only 2. Well, here's the thing, dude. There was also a lot less technology back then. There was a lot less going into every single pitch. There's how many scouting reports did guys have back in the 60s and 70s thinking about every single pitch at every single count that, going for? Of course the game was quicker. They didn't give a fuck. They were probably drunk they drank all day, fucking woke up, came to the game, put a fucking milk carton on their fucking hand for a glove, and went out there and just played ball. These guys fucking pitched every single day. I mean, of course things have changed. Of course the game has slowed
down. And games
down.
weren't televised as the way they are today.
And there wasn't as many commercials and so on and so forth.
That also delays games and stuff. Yeah. So, older fans have been through it. We really lived through a period where there weren't many major changes to the game up until now. Last year the pitcher DH in the National League started it, and now all this stuff. But, older fans have seen the invention of the DH, which, that was never a thing. The lowering of the mound, night games, all this
divisions
stuff.
Changing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess the I guess the big one we really lived through was the wild card when they went to
Yeah.
the division realignment. You had 4 teams in the playoffs in '95. Was the first time that they did that. So, but other than that, like the way the actual on-field game has been played, we haven't really experienced any of that till now. So,
For sure.
I mean, to be honest, like right now we can talk about it, we can get worked up about it, but we need to see it in application. And so far, what I've seen, I honestly think that the pitch clock will be less detrimental to your enjoyment of the game as it will as these running. I'll call them the running rules, as the running rules are going to be. Because to me, like you walk a guy, you might as well just let him go right to second base. You know that.
Well, they do let him go right to second base. It's just got to be extra innings when the game matters most.
Well, then that's just telling me that the Yankees are going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage because they are wait, I always say that word wrong.
Notorious for not holding runners properly.
No, they're slow. They're offensively so slow. So teams that are
quicker. And Trevino was a gold glove, platinum glove winner last year. Doesn't have the greatest arm. So it's going to be. I mean, go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, Trevino last year, just for that Higashioka personal catcher. Trevino was Cole's catcher for two of his final 3 regular season starts,
and in the ALCS. So maybe they are over it.
Jason Dominguez had a really nice base hit up the middle in this game. Took it right up the middle, hard fastball, looked good.
Yeah, let's go Hicks.
Yeah.
Oh, we tried to. There's a couple other topics we're going to get to today, and without bringing up Aaron Hicks again, let's just stay focused on the infield right now, and specifically where the Yankees need to go long term with this infield. Okay, now if you look at it, you know that worst case scenario, Josh Donaldson plays the 2023 season and he's gone. But all these other guys are here for at least another year or so. Gleyber Torres is under contract. IKF still under contract. You got the young guys. LeMahieu's here for another couple of years. You know, we've been talking about things that the Yankees need to do. The Yankees need to improve the catching situation. And I know people are like, "Oh, we got Trevino." Fine, that's great. You saw Trevino hit a wall last year because he's not really a starting catcher. Yeah. He's a guy that maybe plays 80, 90 games. Somebody's got to fill that hole, right? Kyle Higashioka, we talked about him. 4A player, right? You're going to need another outfielder at some point. Whether or not the Yankees believe in Jason Dominguez, I don't know, but they're going to need another outfielder, you would think. You know, do you trust Herman and Schmidt to be the 5? Okay, even if you do, I would prefer them to be 6, 7. They need depth in that starting rotation. They're going to need help in the bullpen. Tommy Kahnle's already going to be out a month, right? We don't know what we're going to get out of it. We really don't know what we're getting out of Clay Holmes and Michael King and even Loizaga. Honestly, Loizaga might be the surest thing in that bullpen because if you look at Holmes' ineffectiveness in his injury from last year, and King coming off the injury, and Ron Marinaccio was hurt last year. So you got guys you like, but nobody that maybe you can put 100% confidence in, right?
Plus, a Yankee month is like dog years. It's like really fucking 4 months.
Good point.
Well, you look at parts of this team where the Yankees can subtract from to add in other places. It's this infield, right? And you keep hearing, like, I think Bob Nightingale reported this earlier today, and I think Pete was the first one to actually bring this to everybody's attention with the Gavin Lux injury in LA.
Yeah.
You know, they have interest in IKF. Okay. I would say, hey, you know what? You got interest in IKF. What about Gleyber Torres? You know, he could. What do you guys want to give me for Gleyber Torres right now? And people, here's my problem with people that want to keep Gleyber Torres. Okay. Because I posted this and people were like, he was a 4-WAR player last year. They don't grow on trees. Great. I'm not saying that he's not. I've been repeatedly have said, I think Gleyber Torres is a legitimate starter in Major League Baseball. Right? What he's not is the superstar we were promised. And what he's not is the guy the Yankees are going to commit $100 million to.
Well, he definitely, would you agree he hit his ceiling already?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's closer to the player he was last year than he was in 2019.
So at this point, when you have, who you're expecting to be a superstar in Volpe waiting in the minor leagues and obviously an overcrowded infield, why not trade him off when he's at his highest value that he's probably going to be for the rest of his time here?
Yeah, that's the argument to be made.
No, you want to play the kids. Well, where are they going to play?
Right.
You think it's so easy. People this is what the MLB The Show mentality is. The Yankees are going to need a third baseman next year, right? You would assume they would need a third baseman.
DJ.
Oh, well, we'll just shift one of the kids over there. What if they can't do it?
Mm-hmm.
What if they're more suited to play up the middle? Right?
That's a huge difference. Going from second to short on the other side of the bag is really difficult, but a lot of guys who have played their entire career at short, like what A-Rod did and Cal Ripken in his career, I mean, these guys were late in their careers. They took how many
Hall of Fame players. You
right,
say what
exactly.
you want about A-Rod. He's a Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame talent.
Of course he is.
Sure.
It's not that easy when you're coming up in New York and you're expected to be one thing, and then all of a sudden your world gets flipped upside down, and now you're expected to take 1,000 ground balls a day at a different position. It's tough, man. We saw what happened to Torres when he, got flip-flopped all those times. But, for me, Christian's right. You gotta make room, and he's the odd man out because Donaldson's not going anywhere.
Did you see this? Boy Meets World is running for Congress in California.
Is that Corey Matthews?
It's not his brother.
Just someone with a very common name.
Ben Savage is the guy who played Corey Matthews. Fred Savage.
Yeah,
his name's not Corey.
Isn't Fred Savage like
Fred
a predator or something?
Probably. He looks like one.
He's in Wonder Years. But he's a director, and a lot of people say he's kind of creepy on set and stuff.
I think he did have a scandal.
Savage.
Savage.
Isn't that a Boone quote? Was he talking about them?
I'm the macho man. Oh yeah.
Are they on the Savages in the box? Was that about?
That was
Fred
their story. That was Fred's like, I'm the real Savage in the box when he was trying, on the directorial set there. Anyway, what were we talking about here?
I don't know, man. You totally
Torres is the odd man out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that he is, man. Like Joel Sherman, and somebody correct me. I don't want to say correct anybody. He said that his entire article was a little bit more even keeled, but he had a hot take in it from yesterday that he said you trade Peraza for another prospect and commit to Gleyber Torres long term.
No.
Dude.
Again, I just asked you the question that the Yankees have to ask themselves. Did Gleyber Torres hit his ceiling? There's no signs showing me otherwise that he did already.
All right, so if you would say his peak was 2019 and his lowest was 2021,
right,
and 2022 is somewhere in the middle,
right,
would you not agree that that's the median? That's who Gleyber Torres is?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. And at that point, if you're that confident in Volpe and Peraza, man, you got to commit to someone. This team has commitment issues. You got to commit to someone, and you got to stick them out there, and you got to play them.
I think Anthony Volpe has a much easier time making this team if Gleyber Torres is not here.
For sure. But again, I just have no confidence in the Yankees to handle this kid properly. And the other question is going to be, who do you look? I'm not saying Cano wasn't a star here, but when you think of Yankee superstars, legends, like they want Volpe to be, where should he play? Shouldn't he be our shortstop? Don't you think the Yankees want him at short? So make the move now.
I think Peraza's a little ahead of him, though.
I'm not saying he's not, but my point is, how Cashman works. When they tout someone at a specific position, especially shortstop, because that's a position that needs to be filled in New York by someone with star qualities. Volpe's clearly going to have that quality over Peraza. I would feel the Yankees would rather commit to Volpe at short. And if you're going to do that, man, you better do it quick.
The Yankee spin machine was out in full effect tonight during the game today, where they said Damon Oppenheimer, who runs the draft for the Yankees, was like, Curry said, I asked him one thing to tell me that we don't know or we would be impressed by. And I love Jack Curry, man, but he's turned into such a yes.
He really
recently,
has,
man.
yeah.
It's very disappointing.
He was great when he came on with us, and he was a really, really nice guy, but he definitely has been. I've noticed that.
And he was like, tell me one thing about Anthony Volpe that will make me swoon. And he said Damon Oppenheimer told him he never takes a pitch off.
I mean, nobody should be taking a pitch off.
That's not a quality. I mean, that's a good quality, but that's not going to make me like want to drop my pants for this fucking kid. Like, come on now. He should be fucking in on every pitch and paying attention and trying to win every at bat that he has. Wouldn't you want that to be like the base minimum that you
That's
want
how
out of
low.
somebody?
That's how low the bar is in New York right now. We got guys like Aaron Hicks who stare at a fucking wall instead of picking up the ball, and now our bar is set at he's in on every pitch.
He doesn't take a pitch off.
And then this is the irony. This is total Yankee just universal justice or karma or whatever you want to call it. He had a nice single. He's on first base talking about Volpe, right? And then Curry and Rucco are like jousting each other to see who can jerk off Volpe faster.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, he has the it factor. He just has the it factor. And like literally like the literal split second that the word factor came out of whoever's mouth said it, he got picked off at first base. So I guess he's not taking. He took one play off. Maybe he wasn't, fully invested in one play. He's getting picked off in a spring training game. But look, if you listen to the way that the Yankees propaganda machine speaks of Volpe, obviously this is who they want to. I know Judge is here for 9 years, so this is Aaron Judge's team. He's the captain, right? But this is who they want to put on posters with Aaron Judge. You know, like you look at, when they sell season tickets, who do you see now? Aaron Judge. You might see, you see Garrett Cole. You might see, and then like that third guy is like always like sometimes it's Rizzo, sometimes it's Stan, sometimes this one's. They want it to be Anthony Volpe. They want that guy. When you go and buy season tickets, they want Anthony Volpe to be that guy to put on all the press material. That's who the guy that they want. And
right. And that's my point. Like, if that's the guy they want, what sounds better than saying, the Yankee shortstop? Nothing.
Who's the most iconic Yankee of the last 70 years?
Number 2.
Exactly. The shortstop.
Jeter. Number 2.
The Yankees have been trying to fill Derek Jeter's shoes since Derek Jeter retired. And they, Didi did a decent job, but he was never a star. Like, he did it.
Well, he didn't come up through the system. So, like, this is their opportunity to really try and fill that void.
And that's just what scares me is I think the Yankees are going to try to force feed this to Volpe when maybe he should be the guy that moves to second base, because I truly love what I've seen out of Oswald Peraza at shortstop.
Well, that's why I just said if they're going to do it, they have to do it now, because I promise you, Peraza at shortstop for an entire year, you're not going to be able to justify moving him off a shortstop because he's an elite shortstop. He's a very good defender.
That's an excellent point, because if the Yankees, and that's what I'm holding out this hope, this naivete, if you want to call it, that IKF is not starting at shortstop this year. But that is where you could make the case that he is, because the Yankees know that if Peraza is given the job and he's as good as we think that he is, you can't tell him that he's not the shortstop in 2024.
Correct.
I don't care who's coming up behind him.
LI Yankee King, thanks for the super chat, man. He said, why not trade DJ LeMahieu, who's 35?
No, stop. Just stop.
Hold on. And is going to continue to decline.
Stop.
And
I don't
trade
want to
him
hear
now
any
before
more out
the
of
full
LI
drop off comes, and Torres has 15 stolen bases.
Oh my God.
Speed, which people forget. that works in 2023 baseball. Here's why DJ LeMahieu, here's why you don't trade him. Because of everything you said after why not trade DJ LeMahieu. 35 and is going to continue to decline. Where are you trading him? That you have a better shot of DJ staying healthy and giving you some value here, of course.
First of all, you're not trading DJ LeMahieu because the Yankees have no leadoff hitter, okay? He's the only one that profiles anything close to a leadoff hitter on this team. That's number one. And number two, you're not trading him because he's way more versatile than Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres can only play one position. DJ LeMahieu can play three.
And like you said before, man, if they don't make any moves for third base, you're going to need to fill that hole over there. And who better with everyone on this team than DJ?
Li is a great supporter of this channel, and I don't want to knock him, but he is definitely like glued to Gleyber Torres' ass. Gleyber,
really? Is he a Gleyber guy?
He's a Gleyber guy. He's a Gleyber guy.
Gleyber guy.
You know,
we are going to start banging.
Okay, well, you know, we don't judge here.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, and here's the other thing. There's the other guy. The other argument you can make is that you got to trade IKF, right? He was a disaster here last year. The Yankees can't run this back again. We talked about this. Public enemy number 1, 2, and 3. Line them up however you want. Hicks, Donaldson, IKF. You can't have all three of these guys in the lineup on opening day. You're just sending a bad message to your fan base on a year that you really want them to believe that you're in it to win it, right?
Yeah.
IKF, we talked about security blankets that the Yankees have had. Remember AJ Cole?
Yeah.
There was really nothing wrong with fucking. I mean, AJ Cole was who he was. He was a middle of the road, nobody, ham and egger, 4.5 ERA reliever to come and eat innings, right? The problem is that Aaron Boone used him like he was the what I'm trying to make an analogy here, but I don't know any famous firefighters. But that's what he was. Anytime the Yankees were in trouble and they needed to put out a fire, here comes AJ Cole. Here comes AJ Cole to come put out the fire.
Every time.
Right?
Every time.
And he's not that guy. And that's why we said when we talked about keep him, dump him that year, AJ Cole, it's like, yeah, who cares about AJ Cole? But no, he has to go because the Yankees, you don't want him to have that security blanket of continually bringing AJ Cole into games. It's the same thing with IKF. If IKF is not here, the Yankees don't have that security blanket to go back to stick at shortstop the minute one of these kids starts going through a little bit of a rough patch. If IKF is not here, they don't have anybody else to play shortstop. So either Volpe or Peraza is getting the fucking run this year. That's why he's got to go. And people are like, oh, you can't trade both of them. You have no depth. I don't fucking care. Sign somebody off the street. I don't care.
Right.
This is the way you best build this team for this year and for the future. If Gleyber Torres and IKF are out the fucking door, I'm sorry.
Here's one way you can sell me on keeping IKF on this team. If you're going to tell me that he's the starting third baseman, because I think he plays a good third base. He was way more comfortable over there, and let's not forget he really wasn't terrible at the plate last year. He had one of the higher averages on this team.
Yeah, fine, whatever, Chris. He's a punch and Judy hitter. He is what he is, right?
Right.
It's fine, right?
He had a grand slam. Okay.
He did. Is Wash Donaldson on this team?
Yes.
Okay, then IKF has to go because the security blanket is still there. You know, let's say Volpe, by some fucking miracle, Volpe is the opening day shortstop. He tears the cover off the ball. The Yankees are like, we're going to do it. He's our guy. Boom. He hits 180 in April. Guess what? Donaldson off the bench. IKF the shortstop. Volpe down to AAA. When what he should be doing is getting used to major league pitching at that point.
Correct.
So that's why
we got two super chats, but I'll get to them when we're gonna get into the next segment.
Are they concern him?
I don't read them until I'm gonna read them to you guys. So.
No, because that's why the security blanket has got to go in IKF, man. And you know, I'm sorry. I know people love Gleyber Torres, but he's not the long-term solution here. And we talk about this all the time of the Yankees playing this dangerous game of roulette where they hold on to guys with no value. Yeah, in In an ideal world, do you get through 2023 with Gleyber Torres being a 4-WAR player and move him next offseason knowing you're not going to sign him? Okay. Do you trust Gleyber Torres to be a 4-WAR player in 2023? Do you trust him to be that player again?
No, I think he's capable of doing it for sure, but I definitely don't trust it happening now.
And that's why you have to trade him. If he goes out and he plays like that, even adds 5, 6, 7-WAR player, fine. It's a risk you had to take, though.
Well, I think that should be a segue into what we're going to talk about next.
And we're going to close out the show here with my Creed 3 review, okay?
Okay.
We're not talking any more
Okay.
Yankee baseball.
Okay.
Okay.
No
We
spoilers. No spoilers. Okay.
We got two super chats here. Okay.
Do the super chats.
My boy Ra, thank you.
Ra.
Of course, always
a pleasure.
said last time I'm choosing violence against the Yankees, but can they leave Peraza at short? So annoying. So tired of watching him get no reps with the main players. They're shoving IKF down our throats. Agreed, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the fault of how great he looked at short last year. I mean, he gave us that like glimpse of the future if he's going to be that guy. He's an unbelievable player over there.
It's like the Yankees forfeit practical choices for things that like IKF shouldn't even be anywhere near our throats, let alone being shoved down our throat.
Ooh.
Because we have options.
Right.
But the Yankees got this guy, so they need to commit to him to make it seem like they made the right choice. And it really hurts this fucking team. But
right, because you would want them to be making moves based on what helps them
based
win,
on what helps
makes them
exactly
look the best.
It's theater. Okay.
Okay.
Steels 69. Thanks for the super chat.
The family show.
Okay. He said, don't forget LI chose Gleyber over Samantha. I don't get the inside joke, but I'm gonna laugh at it.
Yeah, I don't know. We might need another super chat in
hold on.
To that.
We got one. LA Yankee King super chat, but you're going to risk DJ LeMahieu at 35 and a toe injury. So what? Again, LI, not ripping you, you're a loyal supporter, but what makes you think that if you're thinking that, other teams aren't thinking that?
All right, so the TJ LeMahieu's already signed his contract, has he not?
Right. So the Yankees are going to have to eat that money anyway.
And what value does DJ LeMahieu have? What are you going to get for him?
You see. I think his value would come trading him to a National League team at the deadline, a team that's competing for something.
Get him for a hua.
Same goes for Gleyber Torres too. So they're kind of in the same
not
boat.
Trading DJ LeMahieu. I think DJ LeMahieu is I don't want to say too valuable, but more valuable to
his
this
upside's
team.
way more.
I agree.
His value on this team is way more than anything you're going to get for him. Another super chat. GOLV said, "Love the show, fellas. What would you ask the Dodgers for in an IKF and/or Torres trade?" For me, I'm thinking some pitching depth. No
pitching depth, yes, for sure.
Maybe
Dodgers always have pretty solid pitching depth. So I mean, this is where people try to get you a gotcha moment. I'm not saying that's what LV is doing here, but when you post something on Twitter and you're like, trade so-and-so, and like, well, what are you going to get for him? I'm not the fucking general manager. That's his fucking job.
Right.
I'm identifying what the problem is here.
LV's not saying that at all. He's
no, I know that I'm saying.
But people on Twitter do that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, you're going to trade him. Who you getting him for? I know what we need. I know who we have on this team that we don't need. Now Brian Cashman can go earn his fucking paycheck.
Because then you think about it, like, even if you got guys back for IKF that ended up being garbage, what's the risk?
There is no risk, and
There's
it actually
no risk.
helps this team. It does. I'm sorry, I don't really have a problem with IKF, but I think him being here is detrimental to the growth of both Peraza and Volpe, and I don't think the best version of the Yankees of 2023 is with IKF on this team.
Here's the hard truth. Even without an overcrowded infield, IKF is expendable. And with an overcrowded infield, with superstar, supposed superstar prospects waiting to come up, he's extremely expendable and really has no business being here anymore.
We're going to close out the show with this. Luis Severino is a free agent at the end of this season. Now, if you guys want to go back to keep him, dump him. I believe that I said dump Luis Severino. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure I was on a dump for Luis Severino.
Okay.
And it came up in a start the other day. What do you do with Luis Severino, right? And we ran a poll. The three choices were: if you ran the Yankees, would you give Sevy a contract extension? Yes, no, or I need to see a healthy 2023. And that was the winning vote. 47% voted need to see a healthy 2023. Look, if Luis Severino comes out and makes 30 starts, pitches 165, 170 innings, pitches to a 3.10 ERA, and looks like Sevy, how do you let him walk?
Wait,
Well,
sorry. Is he a free agent next year?
No, this is his last year.
His last year.
All right,
This
so
is his
this
last
is his
year.
last year under contract.
Yes.
Okay. So
that's where I now see it. If you have that type of year out of him, where Cole and Rodon and even Nestor Cortez, so those three guys are going to be here, and you all have a certain level of expectation for those guys. And if Sevy puts that season together, how do you walk away from that rotation?
here's a question real quick. I know it's different circumstances, but what happened the last time they let a guy with a lot of potential? They didn't sign him. They waited to see what kind of season he was going to have.
Yep.
And then they couldn't let him walk. What happened? Did they have to spend
less
less money?
A little bit different.
It is a little different, but here's my
I see
thing.
the similarities, though.
But here's my thing. It's actually more in favor for the Yankees to sign Severino now, because clearly if we're debating this, the upper hand is to the Yankees big time, because he is a liability, right? So even if you sign him now at a lesser price and he can't stay healthy, isn't that worth the risk of him going out there and pitching to his potential that we know is extremely high in this league, and then having to either pay him double what we would have or watching him walk to another team?
I mean, that's an argument to be made for sure, is that you offer him the contract extension now and hope that you can get a friendlier deal then if he hits free agency after a healthy year.
Of course.
But also he's a guy that you can make the argument he needs to show it. He has not shown it, man.
I'm not disagreeing with that either. Right. But what I'm saying is, do we really want to take that risk again?
It's not even a risk at that point, because if he has a good year this year and he goes into his free agency, he's definitely gone. There is no way the Yankees will even offer him a contract. They're going to pay three guys ace money. No shot. They need to, if they want Severino in their future, they have to pay him right now.
Yep. Another reason why you trade Gleyber Torres, because I think the value is definitely in paying Luis Severino $100 million than it is fucking Gleyber Torres.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sitting here saying that Severino doesn't have to prove himself and stay healthy, in a sense of how much can he bring to this team.
How much is that doggy in the window?
All right. But my point is, from the Yankees perspective, from the front office perspective, first you have to ask yourself what happened last time we gambled like this, right? Because we're not just talking about a regular pitcher here. If Sevy can stay healthy, we know what kind of potential this dude has. If he stays healthy and has a good year, it's not just going to be a good year. It's going to be a dominant year. I'm telling you right now, Sevy still has that in him. And why risk that? Why not sign him now when we can sit here and say, Sevy, look, you haven't really stayed it. I mean, how many games have you pitched in the last handful of years? This is your value. You're not going to get any more than this. This is what we'll sign you for. You think Severino's not sitting there going, I get injured every fucking year. I'm frustrated. I can't take that risk either. I'm going to take this money.
Well, there is bad blood between him and the Yankees. He hasn't appreciated how he's been handled, with last year going on a 60-day and then being told this year he can't play in the WBC.
Being taken out of a no-hitter.
Maybe he wants to test the market.
Maybe. And look, that's on him. But as a fan of the Yankees, I can't sit here and be okay with him walking on the Yankees account and not his own. Like, the Yankees can't let him walk because he upped his value and they can't afford him.
So if you are the general manager of the New York Yankees and you have free reign to do whatever the hell it is you want, money's not an issue, you're offering Luis Severino a contract right now?
100%.
Nah, I'm not.
100% I am.
Ryan, let's expound upon that. Do you want him to go, period, or do you need to see him be healthy?
No, I like him a lot, but I'm not big on giving pitchers years and monies. And they already have 2 starters that they're paying a lot of money to. He's going to require a $20+ million contract, and I don't think they need to go and do that when they could just go and trade for a guy, maybe a rental here and there. I don't see the value there.
I mean, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the idea of Brian Cashman trading for more starting pitching.
Right.
Right.
How do you?
I
you really trust the guy? Can you trust the guy,
guys.
Rye, who makes those trades? Can you trust that he's going to make the right trade?
No. So then it comes down to getting a team-friendly deal, and the only way they'll be able to do that is if they do it right now. But then if they do that right now, then that's the risk. But if you want to have an Aaron Judge situation, you're not getting Severino back on this team. Something just fell off that.
Dude, that was scary.
But
here's a point to look at, right? Of why you would offer Severino a contract. Think about it like this. Trigger warning, I'm going to use the term beat a dead horse. Okay.
All right.
Oh my God.
Have to beat this dead horsey any deader than it already is.
Horsey.
But we all know how the Yankees operated with the last 2 free agent shortstop classes. Why? Because their top prospects are shortstops. So if you do like I do and try to rationalize the Yankees' way of thinking, it makes sense. Why commit big money in years to shortstops if these are your kids are shortstops and you have faith in them and they're going to be ready next year or so, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense. It's Yankee sense to not commit that type of money and resources to a shortstop because you have Volpe, you have Peraza, right? Where's their starting pitching? Where's their starting pitching prospects?
Right. I mean, even an injury-prone Sevy, for me, still has more of an upside signing him while his value is much lower than taking that risk of him going out there and pitching to his potential and then watching him walk. Because Sevy is a very valuable piece to this rotation. He's not an ace. You have 2 aces at the top of this rotation. Imagine Severino being as dominant as he can be and being your number 3. I mean, we talk about Giancarlo Stanton being hurt for 160 games as long as he shows up in October, right? You can kind of make that case for Sevy. It's a little different, obviously, because, Sevy seems to need some time to get back into his groove. But having Sevy in this rotation, especially in October following Rodon and Cole, there's way more value in that and taking that risk than him going out there, having a fucking career year, and then having to watch him walk.
It's tempting. That's all I'm going to say. And I haven't looked at the free agent classes for 2024 or of who they could possibly replace him with. But if you're not paying Severino, you're going to pay another guy 20 plus million, $25 million a year or whatever it is to take his place. It's a risk. It is a definite risk that the Yankees have to weigh right now, whether or not you try to lock him up at a more reasonable rate, knowing that you have this unknown of whether he can stay healthy, and it could completely blow up in their face. And, he can make 4 starts this year, like we've seen him do in the past. Or, he could be that dominant guy that we really haven't fully seen since 2018. And you got him at a really good price. All I'm saying, man, is if he's healthy and you have what really is 3 aces with Nestor Cortez, who I like Nestor a lot. People think because I don't want to call him an ace or whatever, I don't like. I like Nest. I like. So you have 4 fucking aces on this team,
and a fifth starter who is going to be way better, whether it be Schmidt or Herman, than most 5th starters.
Yeah, well, it's tough to walk away from that, man. So that's why. It's hard to say. Do I need to see a healthy Severino in 2023? Yeah, I do. I need to see a healthy Severino in 2023. I would offer him something. I'd fucking lowball the shit out of him and try to get him to weigh his risk of hitting the free agency, possibly off another injured year. But
you look at the free agent class of next year, starting pitching is nothing. Nothing's really.
Well, here's another
He'll
question.
be the clear, well, except for, of course, Ohtani.
But
he's more than just a pitcher. And you got Scherzer too, but he's older, so he'll be the clear.
Come on.
Here's another
player.
I don't want any part of Max Scherzer.
No,
here's another thing to think about too. We talked about this how many times this offseason. The Yankees pitching depth is a lot thinner than it's been in a while. I mean, we have one top 10 starting pitching prospect.
And he's in Double-A, so I mean, you're not going to see him for a couple years,
right? I mean, so you don't have anything internally that you're talking about waiting for him to come up. For me, it's just like, yes, as a fan, I need to see him stay healthy to make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But at the end of the day, I just think his ceiling, his upside is worth it to not risk him walking and being on another team.
It's definitely honestly, I'll tell you this, and this is not me, playing both sides of the fence or whatever, not trying to commit. There's no wrong answer here. There really isn't, because you have pros and cons of every side of what you can do with Luis Severino. You can say, yes, give him the contract extension right now. No, I don't want anything to do with him because of his checkered past. But if he's healthy, then, that might change my opinion on it. So, I mean, it's really, really tough, man. And that's where Brian Cashman's got to earn his money here. He's got to figure out what to do with Luis Severino, because like you said, Ryan, that free agency class is not good. There's nobody waiting to come up in the minor leagues.
Sevy's going to be the sexiest name by default.
Yeah.
Cole Rodon and Nestor is really good, but I mean, then you might have what's your 4 or 5 then? You're going to tell me it's Herman and friggin' Schmidt? Not the same thing, man.
Yep.
Well, right now it's not the same thing, but a full year of Herman and Schmidt, maybe you're saying, thinking differently.
I don't know. It's possible.
Schmidt hasn't had a moment yet in the league. I mean, he got hurt and he looked good, so that's still out there. It's just
another one that worried. How old is he going to be this year? He's not really a prospect anymore. So I mean, this is another thing that worries about him. We know what
he's
Domingo
27. He's 27.
We know what Domingo Herman is. So I mean, like, you can pretty much figure out he's going to be a guy that pitches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Yeah. True.
We don't condone that type of behavior here.
I don't know. Does Sevy have, does he sit down with Judge and say, what do you think I should do? Should I bet on myself like you did?
What Judge is going to say?
No, because no.
Judge is going to.
No, because here's my point to you that I was saying before. Judge had a reason to bet on himself because the dude's been
so does Sevy.
But here's the thing. With Sevy, how frustrated was he when he got hurt? Even last year, he was rehabbing, got hurt again. He came out and said how frustrated he was. He knows how injury prone he is. He knows that if he goes out there in 2023 without a contract and gets hurt again, he is significantly less valuable than he is right now before the season starts.
But I don't know. I feel like you could make that argument with Judge, and you could compare it to Cody Bellinger. It was a guy who kind of took a chance on himself, and Cody Bellinger's making $12 million this year, and Aaron Judge is making $35 million this year.
Aaron Judge hit 52 home runs in his rookie season and should have won MVP.
So did Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger 52
and won Rookie of the Year and MVP.
Judge is making $40 million this year.
Oh, sorry. I bet.
Bet on himself. He definitely did.
He bet on himself.
I just don't think Sevy's in the same place to bet on himself.
I think he's in that same place as that upside of that crazy amount of money that he could leave on the table or not.
But like I said, is the money he's leaving on the table, is it more than the money he's going to be missing out on if he goes out there and gets hurt?
If the Yankees try to sign him right now, they'd have to offer him something like in the $20-21 million range, right?
Right. And if he goes out there and gets hurt for a few months this season, what's his value in free agency?
It's going to dip. But I mean,
Yeah.
So that's my point. That would be what I'm thinking of as Sevy right now.
But he'll get close to 35 million if he goes out and has a
oh,
3.10
he
ERA.
won't. Rodon
Yes,
didn't. Carlos Rodon
Well,
is not
all right,
making.
but all right. So what? But what did Rodon get?
What is Rodon making? Like 20? What is it? It's not that much, man.
All right. Well, then I'm thinking more along the
Different
lines
pitching
of,
class though with Rodon.
right. So
And-
27 for Rodon. I see
Right.
him getting.
I don't see Severino
around
going
there.
into the
Let's see.
30s.
He
so
could Christian. Here's why. If he is that good of a year, one, we just talked about the other names in that pool.
But
right?
there was nobody else really in this pool except for Verlander.
But
And the Yankees weren't in on that.
But here's the second reason why. In just 1 year, with each year that passes, how much do we see values of players go up where they really don't deserve to? Like, think about.
I don't think he's going to get $30 million.
Look at the
infield.
Look at the infielders though this year. Look at what Xander Bogaerts got. I bet you didn't think he was going to get the money that he ended up getting.
Well, that's why. What's his name?
Like there's, they spend money like it's fucking Monopoly over there.
What's his name? Julio Rodriguez signing
Trey Turner,
years?
Phillies. Oh yeah, he signed a crazy deal.
But like, think about how stupid that is, right? In just 3 years from now, the money he's making per year, if he's the superstar they expect him to be, he's going to be getting less than an average fucking player by 5 years from now.
My point is that I really don't think Sevy, even off a dominant year, is making $30+ million next year.
Probably not.
Oh, dude, come on. If he has a good year this year, and the class is what it is, he will be making at least $30 million next year.
I'll disagree with you on that because the class wasn't. I mean, the class wasn't that great this year, and Rodon was the best pitcher in the market and didn't hit 30. So
we'll see. All right.
Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
But you got to take into account the inflation of it all, that the prices seem to go up
now
every
you gotta
year.
go to
That's what I mean.
There.
Okay.
Inflation.
All right. Adjust.
Carry
Carry it over. Okay. Decimal point down there. Okay. Carry the 2. Okay.
Now, normally we don't hype up shows 2 weeks away, but we are going to hype up our show on March 20th. Fred is back.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back, Fred.
March 20th, 2 weeks from tonight.
My favorite show.
We missed you, Fred.
Fred's Projections. It's our annual show where we look at the algorithm on Baseball Reference, what they project certain Yankees to do in certain statistical categories, and we give our over-unders on the year. And Fred is the drunk bastard that sets the over-unders.
Yeah, it's not an algorithm. Hey,
What?
it's a drunk dude just sitting behind
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Baseball. Yeah,
Games
Judge.
played.
I really think this is the year we show what we should show people what Fred looks like. Is that possible?
I could absolutely do that for you.
So 2 weeks from tonight, Fred will be back, and we will take a look at the Yankee over-unders for the year. So next week, we'll just have a fun show. We'll figure out what to talk about. But 2 weeks from tonight, Fred's projections, and then the following week will be our season preview, and then baseball.
Baseball's
so
back.
It will be here.
Back.
It'll be here before you know it. So we'll April 1st in the Audi Club. Snatch up those final tickets, guys, for NYY News TV Day 2023. Follow us on Twitter at NYYST_podcast. Look at the pinned tweet if you're looking for the link for the tickets. Patreon.com/NYYST. If you want to win a replica Yankee jersey, the last video that we did is free, open for everybody. Go there, patreon.com/NYYST. Watch the video. Learn how you could be in the running to win a free Yankee replica jersey. And leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called these days. Okay. We got to counteract these people that are trying to flood us with negative reviews because they're haters.
Okay.
And if you're still in the chat, please like this video and subscribe to NYY News TV. Okay. Creed 3, 7 out of 10. I know that's what everybody was waiting for. Okay. Wow. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for your continued support of NYYST and NYY News TV. We want to thank you for listening and watching episode 322 of the podcast. SGR.
Go Yanks.
Chris, say goodbye.
Before it hits the front page.